Welcome to another edition of Sit Down with Steve, brought to you by the Friday Night Locker Room and sponsored by Urban Automotive, where you find the best deals on Cadillacs, Nissans, Toyotas, and pre-owned vehicles. Steve Wilson sits down with those that truly make a difference in their community. And now, here's Steve.
And welcome to another edition of Sit Down with Steve. I'm Steve Wilson, coming to you from the Urban Automotive Studio on the 520 Causeway, Merritt Island. Today, I'm honored to be joined by a gentleman who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. He's the longest-serving county court judge in Brevard County's history. He served on the bench for 24 years and retired in 2016. He is the Honorable Judge Alli B. Majeed. Judge, welcome to the show.
Greetings to you, my friend, and hope God bless you and your family and you stay safe during this terrible pandemic that we're experiencing.
Thank you, sir. And before we get into some of the topics I'd like to touch on, as far as the virus is concerned, how is your health and how is your family?
Well, you know, the Lord's been very kind to me and my family. I'm in really very good health, considering the state of Florida considers me too old to work. I do have a routine, and and I would say almost, I wouldn't say every, but almost every day, I walk 3 miles. We live on a lake, and so around the lake is 1 lap, is 1 mile. And so everybody in the neighborhood knows me as the walker. I walk 3 miles, and then I get on my bike, and then I follow that up with riding 4 miles. So that's like my daily routine, and it keeps me pretty in good shape.
Good
my
for
wife
you.
and my children are all, we're wearing a mask all the time, and we're very careful in crowds. We keep our distance, and basically we stay at home. We've grown to love our home more than ever before.
Nothing wrong with that, playing it smart and staying safe. Good for you. Judge, I want to go back in time and find out a little bit about yourself. Where are you originally from?
Well, I'm originally from Guyana. It was formerly called British Guyana in South America. Now, many people don't know Guyana. They confuse it with Ghana in Africa, etc. But Guyana is actually on the northeast coast of South America. It's a very small country, 83,000 square miles, and it's sandwiched between Venezuela and Brazil. It has a population of just around 500,000 people. That many in a Gators game on a Saturday, you know. But Guyana, most people in America think of Guyana in terms of Jim Jones. It became very infamous because Jim Jones and his group established a colony in the hinterlands of Guyana. Guyana has a lot of pristine rainforest. And so people think of Guyana in terms of Jim Jones. But let me tell you that recently, a tremendous amount of oil has been discovered offshore in Guyana, and it has the potential of becoming one of the wealthiest per capita nations in the world. Exxon and several other oil-producing corporations know how to take advantage of the resources, and oftentimes to the detriment of the citizens. And they are doing just that. I think that in due course, the politicians of Guyana will become very wealthy. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Now, how was it growing up in Guyana? As far as a child, were there a lot of things for you to do? Were there any sports, activities? Did school take up a big portion of your average day? How was it growing up there?
Well, Guyana is divided up into 3 counties. I grew up in the most rural of all the counties. In fact, our county is generally referred to as the Cinderella County because it's left out of all the activities in Guyana. It's never included. To get to the county in which I live from the capital city of Georgetown, you have to cross many huge rivers, and it's a full day's journey. So we were really very remote. I grew up in pristine rainforest, and we really had little or nothing to do with the central government. My parents were rice farmers, so I grew up in an agrarian community. where people loved each other, helped each other. And so for me, growing up, I can say in a certain way, life, I saw heaven because you saw all the natural beauty. The streams were sparklingly clean, filled with fish, the trees filled with colorful birds, beautiful plumage, fruit trees in abundance. You could not think of someone going without a meal. It also was the kind of life, like I said, was basically a remote life. We had no refrigeration. We had no running water. We had no electricity. But we were very happy, very contented. And it was a community filled with love and affection for each other. In terms of sports, because we were a former British colony, the common sport was cricket. Okay. And to this day, I am, as recently as yesterday, I was at a cricket field. We have a nice cricket field in Palm Bay. And we grew up playing cricket and following the game of cricket. Now, we followed the game of cricket by radio because we did not have television. And so only a few homes had radio. And ours was one of the homes with radio. So all the people in the village will gather at our home and listen to the cricket matches. So it was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity and a wonderful community life.
Sounds like it. And, at some point, obviously, you made your way to the States. What brought you to this country and when did you arrive?
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because in my life, as I said, I grew up in a very rural community. We never had any high school in our community. So none of us, boys or girls from our county of Essequibo, ever thought of going to high school. In our mind, our highest level of education was a primary school education. And so we all grew up thinking we will take over with the farms, live at home with our parents, etc.
Right.
Now, I always had some questions in my mind growing up. And they were really economic questions. And to this day, I still have a deep interest in economics. And here's the problem. If you are the son of a farmer, you would work in the fields. Now, rice field is very hard work. It's mud and water. You have to flood the fields. So you start working by walking into a flooded field of mud and rice paddies. That's how you start your day. Now, I would notice that people working in the government offices were well-dressed, nice clothing. They did not have to go into mud and water, and they had a roof over their head. Whereas in the fields, you work in the open. You get wet, you dry, and you continue working. So it would always bother my dad. I said, Dad, how come people who are working in shade have on socks and shoes, and we are working in mud and water, and they're doing better than us? I really was troubled by this economic concept. I could not understand it. And I bothered my dad about it. And so eventually, our government became very socialist, very communist, I would say, almost. And a high school, a government building was overtaken, and a high school was started in our village. And that, my friend, was our ticket to ride. It was the key that opened the door to our intellect, that opened the door to opportunities. We did not know what we were capable of until we went to high school. And then things like algebra, French, Latin, no problems, man. We were just a bunch, not just me, they're very, very bright kids. We have one of our students is a cardiologist in Virginia. One of our students is a PhD, a French professor in Quebec. One of our students is a mathematician for NASA. Hey, and one of our students even became a judge in Brevard County.
About that.
And this is from a very, very rural, remote community. Once high school came, it was like our life raft for drowning students. And we realized what our potential was. We loved school, we worked hard, and by everybody did well.
Now, how did you specifically end up here? did you move to Brevard County, or did you end up in Brevard County by way of some other location?
Well, that's a very good question. When I think about it now, as I said, I came from very humble roots, and my parents were not able to advise me and counsel me and guide me. At the time I came to America, you could go to Canada for free. In fact, the status was called landed in Canada. You just had to land there.
Okay.
And someone had to meet you at the airport, and you became a legal immigrant. But I did not have any connections with Canada, and I couldn't have anyone to meet me at the airport because from my village, nobody really went to Canada. But there was one fellow in my village whose parents had owned the buses, the transportation, and so they were wealthy. And he came to America. He came to Howard University to study medicine. And so that was my contact to America. And so I said, hey, he said, come to America, come to school. And so I came to America. Coming to America was not an easy task because you have to convince the United States Embassy to get a student visa that you will not become a public charge. And this matter of public charge has come up again under President Trump for debate. But I did get a student visa, and I came to America the year that man landed on the moon.
Wow.
As people landed on the moon, I landed my feet in America. And so I came to America. I came as a student, and it was very tough for us. I stayed with my friend for a little bit, and then I got my own apartment in Washington, D.C. It's what we call an efficiency apartment. And I don't know, in New York, they call them studios. But it's basically a room, which is your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, your bedroom, and everything. And we just kept on moving. I lived on 15th Street. Howard University was on 7th Street. So we had to walk a good number of blocks, to get to school every single day. In cold, warm, hot, cold, our feet was just had to do it by foot. And it was hilly terrain, but I was young and healthy, and I wasn't alone in doing that. Many of us did that. Life eventually became very good, and I bought a bicycle.
All right. Good for you.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, at some point, you became interested in law. How did that all come about?
Well, as I told you, I had this issue with economics. I could not understand how certain people doing what I consider an easy job, working in shade, in an office, well-clothed, they are not exposed to the elements, were doing far better financially than those of us who were toiling in the fields. This is something that was a real problem to me. Then, there's something in a person's life, something like turns the key in their life. I told you how the high school coming to our village was one opportunity. But here's an episode, and sometimes I'm reluctant to talk about it because it gets me a little bit emotional. But my mother was a very beautiful lady. Took great pride in how she carried herself. And to this day, I follow that pattern. I love to dress. I love to carry myself in a dignified way. So my mother was always very well dressed. She sewed her own dresses, and I would help her pin them, and she was perfectly fitted, wore a headkerchief like as accustomed like Indian women would. Very beautiful lady. Now, she had a brother who lived, I told you we had this big river where we live, you had to cross, and in this river there are many islands. So she had a brother who lived on one of these islands. And so occasionally she'll visit her brother. You have to ride a steamer to get, or a ferry boat. So we were going one day with my mother to visit her brother. I was a young boy. And my mother was beautifully dressed with her nice white linen clothing and lovely head covering, etc., laced head covering. And so we were in the same area of the boat. You enter the boat, and at the steamer, I would say steamer, we call it a steamer. And that's where the animals were and everybody. etc. But there was a beautiful polished stairway that led upstairs that had beautiful polished benches, etc. And so my mother was there, and the journey was just like a little bit under an hour. And she was there, and the cow down, cows were there, and the cow down, and some of it splattered on her beautiful white dress. And I started to cry. I said, Mom, let's go upstairs. And I would pull her to let's go up these stairs. I said, there's nobody up there. I will run up the stairs. There's nobody sitting up there. These are all polished benches. Yeah. And I could not understand why she was just remain standing here with these cows that just splattered on her beautiful dress. And I started to cry. I said, let's go upstairs. I kept pulling her. And then she says to me, son, we cannot go up there because that's for people who are riding first class. And since the journey, so that was outside of our realm. And that's something that really like burned a hole in me. That's the injustice of it all. Yeah. And I can tell you years later, when I was going to college, years later, I had this beautiful shirt. And we had like the coal heaters, you know, you put coal in them. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Yes,
And we lit up. And then one day, I was pressing a shirt. I'll just tell you how much this incident haunted me. I was pressing a shirt, and a little bit of coal fell out of the heater, burned a hole in that shirt. And it just immediately, my mind went back to that moment on the steamer. And I realized it burnt a hole in my heart. Yeah. So you might say that economic injustice, people talk about injustice, is what motivated me to become a lawyer, to become a judge. Because, you know, when you become a judge, and I do teach and instruct judges now at the National Judicial College in Reno, Nevada, I tell judges, you know, I want to be fair, I want to be just, blah, blah, blah. That's the easy part of being a judge. Here's the tough part of being a judge. To avoid becoming an instrumentality of injustice. Many judges are instrumentalities of injustice. Look at our history. Yeah. You know, and so to be a good judge, being fair and just, that's the easy part. To avoid becoming an instrumentality of injustice, to avoid giving your stamp to something that you know is wrong. When I teach judges at the National Judicial College, here's what I tell them. In the classroom, you learn what's legal and illegal. But it's in the living room that you learn what's right and wrong.
We're going to take a short break now, and when we return, we'll continue the conversation with Judge Majeed. You're watching the Friday Night Locker Room on Space Coast Daily TV. Do not go away.
Florida Master Temp on US 1 in Cocoa can be reached 24/7 for air conditioning systems, refrigeration equipment, ice making equipment, and machines. Florida Master Temp is located on US 1 just north of the beach line.
Goodson Paving, 30 years in business. Trucking services, concrete curbing and sidewalks, all types of asphalt paving, seal coating, and striping. Goodson Paving also handles site prep and land clearing. That's Goodson Paving at 630 Sidco Road in Cocoa.
Al's Trophy Shop with 2 locations in Brevard County, one in Palm Bay and the other in Cocoa, just north of the beach line. Al's Trophy Shop creates custom trophies and plaques. They also carry a line of high school sportswear. That's Al's Trophy Shop.
At Dave Goodman Quality Painting, Inc., we are committed to getting the job done right. Our courteous and timely manner is demonstrated by the care given to you and your project. Each and every day, we work hard to provide timely, professional, and dependable interior and exterior house painting services to our customers. We use only the finest paints and materials and can offer you the best all-around service. We have provided professional, experienced, and reliable painting services in Florida for over 20 years. So give us a call today for your painting needs. Dave Goodman Quality Painting.
Hi, I'm Alyssa.
I'm Janie. I'm Rayleigh.
And you're watching Friday Night Locker Room, live on Space Coast Daily TV.
Back to Steve and Orville.
Welcome back to the Urban Automotive Studio. I'm Steve Wilson with the Friday Night Locker Room and Space Coast Daily TV, joined by retired Judge Alli B. Majeed. Judge, let's pick up where we left off. Howard University, at some point you made your way to Brevard County. How did that all come about? How did you select Brevard County, or did Brevard County select you?
Well, they say there's this famous poem, "A Road Less Traveled," and there's a line in that poem that said, "Way leads on to way." And so I lived in Philadelphia, and I had a beautiful home in Philadelphia. It's like a mansion, just outside of the city of Philadelphia, close to Swarthmore. But when I was growing up in Guyana, I had terrible asthmatic and allergy problems, because remember I told you I grew up in the rainforest, lots of trees. And when I moved to Philadelphia, beautiful springtime, the azaleas and dogwoods would bloom, but I would get terribly, terribly sick.
Interesting.
From allergies, etc. And the home that I had was a beautiful stone house. And in the winter time when the heat was on, I'm perfectly healthy. But soon as spring came, took off the heat, there's always a degree of moisture in the home. It's a big old stone home. And keep in mind, Philadelphia is in the Delaware Valley. Then with the dogwoods and azaleas, I thought I'll die, my friend. I mean, I had terribly, terribly bad health. And so I was looking for a dry place to come to live. And I ended up working for Mr. Norm Wolfinger. God bless him, he's passed away. Wonderful, decent human being who hired me as a felony prosecutor in Brevard County. And I will always be grateful and thankful to him. And many people in his office, Jack Griesbaum, Michael Hunt, were very kind to me. To this day, Michael Hunt and Jack Griesbaum are very close friends of mine. And I came to Brevard as a felony prosecutor, and I made friends here. And that's what happened.
Very interesting. You were on the bench for 24 years, retired now. Looking back during that time, does it seem like 24 years? Did it go by in a hurry, or do you have fond memories when you look back at your work career from a judge's perspective?
Well, I'll tell you how I became a judge. I wanted to become a judge, and I gathered some of my friends, and I said, I really would like to become a judge in Brevard County. Now, they said, listen, we are your friends. We will always be behind you, but you're crazy. You can never become a judge in Brevard County. Look around. There's nobody like you who's a judge here. You're not going to make it. And for me to become a judge, I had to run for election. Now, I said, I'm going to run for election. And they said, listen, you're crazy. Nobody will vote for you. You cannot win an election. I also was a felony prosecutor. So in order to run for election, I had to quit my job as a prosecutor. And so all my friends said, don't do that, because you already have a job. You're going to quit a job you already have and run for a job you'll never get. That's a bad way to go.
Wow.
Secondly, I had a beautiful home, had a pool, a fireplace, etc. So I discussed this matter with my wife, discussed it with my friends. And I said, here's what it comes down to. I have traveled a long journey from Guyana to Brevard County. I don't want to be like in that Marlon Brando movie, you could have been a contender, you should have been. Yeah. I don't want that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to grow old and tell my kids and my grandkids, you know what? I could have been a judge. I should have been a judge. I may have been a judge. I did not want that to happen in my life.
Yeah.
And so I got rid of the house and I moved into an apartment. I quit my job. I had no income. I had no house. I had no health insurance, and I ran for a job that nobody like me ever ran for.
Mm-hmm.
I lost.
Oh, no.
Lost the election. But soon after, an appointment opportunity came up, and 22 lawyers put their names in.
Mm-hmm.
We went before a committee. Then it was reduced to 6 lawyers, and we went before the governor's office. And I was appointed a year after I lost the election by Governor Lawton Childs on the bench. And so, the Lord, you have to believe that there's a hand in life that guides you.
No question about it.
And so, I did become a judge. I served. I love being a judge. In many respects, I really was the people's judge. I loved the people. I treated them with respect and dignity. Before you left my courtroom, I always asked you this question: did you get a good chance to be heard? And you learn in the process. You learn and you become more matured.
Right.
You shed ways and you acquire new ways. At the end of the day, yes, I feel very good about what I've done in Brevard County. Because every day I meet people, almost every day I meet people on the street who have something good and positive to say to me. I help them, I help their kids, I help their grandkids, time and again. And many, many articles have been written about me, about things I've accomplished in the newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I did enjoy being a judge. I feel very proud that during my tenure, I was not an instrumentality of injustice. I felt proud during my tenure that I listened to people. I was very active in the community. I gave back a lot. Mm-hmm. There is in Reno, Nevada, what they call the National Judicial College, which trains judges from all over the nation, even from all over the world. And I've been on that faculty for over 13 years. Many years ago, USAID wanted 2 judges to go to work in a former Russian country called Tajikistan. They picked a federal judge from Omaha, Nebraska, and they picked me. And so we went to Tajikistan, the capital city of Dushanbe, and we worked with federal judges there. Mm-hmm. So I was just talking about my accomplishments as a judge here. Mm-hmm. Also, one of the most, I'm humbled enough, this prestigious position as a judge is we have Judges Conference, or you might say Judges Association in the state of Florida that mm-hmm. includes all the judges. And I was elected president of all the judges, or all the county judges in the state of Florida. So no one from the 18th Judicial Circuit or up north, it's hard for people up north to win because Miami-Dade and Palm Beach County, they have mm-hmm. the votes. But yeah. I was able to break that mold, and I was the first person to be elected president from this circuit of all the county judges in the state of Florida.
Wow. That is really, really impressive. And I believe you also won or awarded the Harvey Ford Award. You've received so many accolades over the years, but the one that caught my eye was the Harvey Ford Award because it was presented by the Conference of County Court Judges. Can you talk a little bit about that award?
Well, I had the pleasure of working with Harvey Ford, and he was one of our most prestigious, professional, ethical, honorable judges. And so as a group, the judges of the state of Florida, and when I say judges, I'm talking about the county judges, mm-hmm. made a decision to every year recognize one judge in the state of Florida and name an award after Harvey Ford. This is a very, very coveted award. It's granted by a vote of all the judges in the state of Florida. And yes, I was honored to receive this Harvey Ford Award for professionalism, for conducting myself in an ethical manner, and being an ambassador to my fellow judges and I am very, very pleased with that award. Many times I've received many accolades. You know, when I retired, the city of Rockledge, the city of Melbourne, the city of Palm Bay, they all gave me keys to their city and held special meetings where they issued proclamations to honor me. Mm-hmm. I also, the county, Brevard County, named a cricket field after me, and my hometown of West Melbourne named a street after me. The street in front of City Hall and the police station, they named that street after me. So, you know, told you I came from very humble roots. And I feel even more humbled with this recognition. But let me say this to you. Sometimes with all these recognitions, you could get to your head. You could become a little bit egotistical.
Yeah.
So many times people have asked me, they've said to me, Judge Majeed, you have received so many accolades and so many recognitions. If you were to choose one thing, when I retired, they asked me this question. The lawyers asked me this, if you were to choose one thing that makes you the proudest, what would it be? Well, I'll tell you what makes me the proudest. Because the thing that I'm most proud of is that I've been a felony prosecutor and I've been a judge. So I've been in public life for many years. And during that time, this is what I'm most proud of. I've never shamed my dead mother. That makes me the proudest of all.
That tells everything that anybody needs to know about your character. When you put it in a perspective like that, that's very special. Judge, I have a couple of other areas I'd like to touch on. Can you sit tight with me for a few minutes longer? We're going to take a short break.
Okay, sure.
All right. We are talking with retired Judge Alli B. Majeed. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. You're watching the Friday Night Locker Room on Space Coast Daily TV. Do not go away.
Erdman Automotive. Whether it is the Cadillac dealership in Merritt Island, the Toyota dealership, or Nissan dealership on State Road 520 in Cocoa, you are guaranteed to get the best deals from Erdman Automotive. New or pre-owned vehicles are in stock. The friendly staff are working hard to meet your every need. And the Erdman Automotive Service Department is second to none and will treat you like you want to be treated. That's Mike Erdman Nissan, Cadillac, and Toyota. Simply the best.
Allstate Insurance, DeCandio and Associates, Jennifer DeCandio, Agency Principal. With 2 locations, one in Port St. John, the other in Mims, DeCandio and Associates is here for all of your insurance needs. Auto, home, condos, life, plus boats, ATVs, motorcycles, renters insurance, and more. That's DeCandio and Associates, Jennifer DeCandio, Agency Principal. Beef O'Brady's on State Road 524 in Cocoa is where you want to be. COVID-19 might have slowed things down, but they certainly did not come to a halt here at Beef's. Beef O'Brady's in Cocoa is now providing outdoor seating, and after a thorough and deep cleaning, Beef's is ready for you. Stop by, order online, or phone in your order. Beef O'Brady's, State Road 524 in Cocoa.
How you doing? This is Marcus May with the New York Jets, and you're watching Friday Night Locker Rooms on Space Coast Daily.
And welcome back to the Friday Night Locker Room and Space Coast Daily TV. I'm Steve Wilson, coming to you from the Erdman Automotive Studio on the 520 Causeway, Merritt Island. We're talking with retired Judge Alli B. Majeed. A lot of people out there that the only involvement they have with law, so to speak, is serving on a jury. Talk a little bit about how important jury duty is.
Well, America is changing. The pendulum swings. And we are endowed with more rights than any people anywhere in the world. And if we're not careful, we can lose these rights. not because someone has taken them away from us, but because we relinquish them freely and voluntarily. Before I get to this jury question, sometimes I ask people this question. What if the government were to pass a law that says when you go to vote, imagine we all show up in person to vote now when we're in line.
Right.
Police will come and, when one person votes, the police will come and pull another person out of the line and say, you can't vote. Then another person votes and they pull a person out and says, you can't vote. So they only let every other person vote. What would you say about that? That's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But yet every year, less than 50% of the people vote. 20%, 18%. So we have passed this law voluntarily.
Yeah.
Without the government having to do it. 15 people show up in municipal elections to 15%, 20%, 25%. So jury. For 24 years or so, I have had the honor and pleasure to speak to juries on Monday morning to motivate them. So let me give you a concept. You are a citizen and you're charged in a criminal matter. You are an individual. Here's who you're going up against. You're going up against the flag. You're going up against the seal of the state. You're going up against the police force. You're going up against the state attorney, the guys who can take fingerprints, so many people, and you are one person. You are going up against the state. Think about your odds. Our founding fathers knew this. And so they say, you know what, Mr. Citizen? Because the odds are so great against you, we're going to give you some impartial fellow citizens. So stand between you and the powerful state. The state can only do so much to you without the people getting involved. And so that's why we come here every day, to give true meaning to these words, we the people. Because we the people will listen to the state and pass judgment as to whether or not you are guilty, not the state. This is a remarkable thing. And I cannot understand for the life of me how people want to give up this right and leave you against the flag, the seal, the police, the FBI, the fingerprint person, the DNA person, the medical examiner. All these people have arrayed their skills against you alone as a citizen. Just think, if you don't have a jury, what are your chances? And our founding fathers knew this. And so this is what I tell people every Monday for the past years. Here's what our founding fathers knew. The greatest atrocities inflicted upon a people have not been by invading armies, but by their own central government. And only we, the people, can stop our central government from overrunning you, the citizen. And that is what jury, it's not jury service. It's not jury duty, it's jury right. That's what it is. Your right to stand between the mighty government and the single citizen. Why would you want to give that up? You know, and I'll tell you very quickly a story about an immigrant who became a citizen in Philadelphia. His wife was called to jury service. He was not called. He has diabetes. He went with his wife to City Hall. This is a federal court in the heart of Philadelphia. She was picked and assigned to go to court in Allentown. Now they had perfect excuse. But every morning he would drive her to Allentown, which is about an hour outside of Philadelphia. And she served for several weeks on a federal jury. When that case, and he went with her every day, he actually became a very close friend with the federal judge because he was there every day.
Yeah.
When that case was over, he wrote me a letter. And he said, Judge Majeed, at the conclusion of this case, I really feel that I became an American citizen. It's like the validation of my citizenship to help my wife serve as a juror.
Very, very special. Very special. Final question, Judge. You retired in 2016. I guess it's a two-part question. Are you enjoying your retirement, and what are you doing to occupy your time?
Well, I really do enjoy my retirement. When I retired, you have to wait 1 year to kind of purge yourself from the Florida retirement system. And I was fortunate enough after that 1 year in 2018 and 2019 to be appointed by the Chief Justice to serve as a senior judge. During that period of time, I tried many major civil cases, medical malpractice cases, et cetera, cases that took 3, 4, 5 weeks to try. Mm-hmm. The final case I tried was a case last December against Disney Cruise Lines. A person was injured, a young lady from Portugal. And so this involved many maritime lawyers from Miami. They came down, we tried the case. And that case ended up in an award of $4 million against Disney Cruise Lines. It's now on appeal. I tried several medical malpractice cases, wrongful death, 3.5 million, 800,000, etc. awards. Now, I play sports. I love to play golf. I don't really enjoy golf. It's such a difficult game to play. Golf's a very hard game. I still play a little cricket. I play tennis. I walk. I ride my bike. I spend time at home. I have a lovely family. I have grandkids. And so I love my life. I'm grateful every day to wake up under the American flag. Now that I'm not a judge and I'm not a senior judge, I can help some of my friends get elected, etc. And I get a little bit involved, and I'm always helping members in the community. And I love my life. I've traveled a lot. My wife and I have traveled tremendously since I retired. My wife loves to go on cruises. So I've been to Alaska, Hawaii, Mediterranean cruise. We've been to Russia. We went to St. Petersburg. I went to Morocco. I'm very interested in the history of southern Spain. So I had an opportunity to go to Cordoba. I went to Madrid, and I studied the time of the Spanish Inquisition. And today's Columbus Day that we're talking. So I actually went to where Columbus launched his journey from in Seville, and I went on the famous river called the Guadalquivir. And, I went to see the palace where he went to meet Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand as he was talking to them to finance his journeys. So I followed Christopher Columbus very closely and his life. And so I traveled through southern Spain quite a bit, And so we do a lot of traveling when we can. Of course, this year, things are a little bit difficult. And how much longer life I have, nobody knows. I'm getting set to go to that big condo in the sky and spend time with my family and do all the good I can to all the people I can for as long as I can. Here's what I believe. Let me leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Life is not about us. Life is about what we do for others. They talk about the baseball catcher having a glove on one hand only because the other hand is to throw the ball back. And that's what life is all about. And I'm often motivated by this little, the words of this in the Lion King, the theme song. They have these words. And it goes something like this. It's the circle of life. It's the wheel of fortune. It's the circle of life. It's the wheel of fortune. Some say eat or be eaten. Some say live and let live. But all are agreed as you join life's stampede. You should not take more than you give. It's the circle of life. It's the wheel of fortune. That I believe, my friend.
Very well said. He is retired Judge Alli B. Majeed. Judge, thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time today. I could have talked all day long with you. Your story, your history is just fascinating, but I sincerely appreciate you giving me some time today.
Well, God bless you and your family. Please stay safe. And to all those who are listening, I extend to you very best wishes. Never forget every day when you wake up, when you wake up under the American flag, that you are waking up with more rights and privileges than any people anywhere in the world. With all our imperfections, we are still the greatest country that offers people like me who come with 2 empty pockets the opportunity to make your dreams become a reality. God bless you, my friend. God bless all those who's listening. And most of all, God bless the USA.
For Judge Alli B. Majeed and for our title sponsor, Urban Automotive, I'm Steve Wilson with the Friday Night Locker Room and Space Coast Daily TV. We'll see you next time.